Happy Saturday,
I
Robert.
was going to say, what a magical entrance.
It's very, very Disney-esque.
I feel like I should come out of the fog.
We're gonna work on that intro,
Okay.
people. It's gonna get better each time. So you can tune in each week to Set Jetter Saturdays here on Deep Dive Live with Robert Patterson, of course, and I'm Matthew Clark. And Robert has masterfully created setjetter.com. So check it out now, kids. And how are you, Robert? We just saw each other last weekend.
We did. We saw each other in real life.
It's always special when I see you in real life. It's like seeing a celebrity.
It is, and we were at a celebrity show, so
Hollywood show.
where else would we see each other except with other celebrities?
All the stars were there. All the stars. I'm not even going to make that reference. That it's an inside joke, but there were a lot of stars there, though, which is fun.
Yeah, and some not so shiny stars, but
there were not so shiny.
We won't talk about them.
We won't talk about that. Robert took the plunge though and got Julie Newmar's picture, and I think she looks great.
She did. Is she 94? I think, or something. I can't remember how old is she. But
Barbara Eden's 92, but I know she was like right around that age, so it has to be.
So it was kind of. I knew her obviously from the Batman TV series, and my dad was talking about that when he was a teenager. They're opening a new store or something, and Julie Newmar was there to open the store. So
she was
he and his friend, they were so excited to go see her in real life, and that's obviously she was the top of her game, and so, but obviously, she kind of came back about with thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. Obviously her name, and she did show up at the very end of the movie. So I decided to get the photo, which actually I think I have right here. So in the movie, at the restaurant, they say they see the photo to Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. So she actually has that photo, and you can.
That's so cool.
You can get that signed. So, but which was nice.
She had her own section too. Like she wasn't.
Oh yeah.
With the peasants in the mask.
She had special lighting and everything.
Special lighting. And the Hollywood show, who they're like really fun people. I'm starting to see like the actual producers of the show. Like at least their social media team is like fun. They posted a video of her with the Batman theme, and somebody's trying to get their picture taken, and she was like, move the light here, and she's like, move it down. Okay, move it back over a little bit. And the person was so nice getting their picture taken. They were like, okay, and they were fixing their hair, and she's like, okay, move. I don't know if it was a bit or if it was like she really was like trying to get the lighting right.
It's probably a little bit of both. It kind of like when you hear the stories of Faye Dunaway would walk around the set with a compact mirror.
Is that true?
And she would look to say if the lighting is right or not, and she would tell them, "No, this isn't. That
this isn't right.
That particular." And so, I get it. These are 30 seconds that you have are going to be forever immortalized on. Yeah, you want it right.
If you're going to do it right.
You don't want like other people. We won't name names who we saw. At the Hollywood show, but oof. And you wanted to meet that particular person at one point. It's just better not to.
Just better.
It was sad, but I got to see Lindsay Wagner again and Lee Majors for the first time. So the $6 Million Man. And so I did decide
fantastic
to Photoshop with it. Even I don't like my photo, but she kind of threw me a little bit because I think I told you years ago when I first met her, I was one of the people I usually am okay with celebrities, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a childhood. I was getting nervous and stuff the first time, and then so the photo op, you get in line or whatever, and so I was kind of next to go, and Lindsay looked over at me, and she just kind of put her eyebrows up like, you're next. I was like, oh my gosh, the Bionic Woman is looking at me. So. Yeah.
Did Julie Newmar? I didn't think I saw that photo. Did they take it with your cell phone? Because I saw a camera there too.
They had a camera there, but then they took it with my phone, my camera too. Yeah.
But they didn't offer to take it with like another camera, did they?
I don't think so.
Because I was going to say, how would they give that to people like that quickly?
No, but it
was cool. It was a lot of fun. And Friday night, I went there a little early. There's like nobody there, but Hal Williams was alone, and I went up to him and. He was a really funny guy because I was like, he's an older gentleman. And he had a caretaker there. And I was like, do you mind if I get a picture? He's like, yeah, sure. And he was like slow getting up. So I said, oh, you don't have to get up. I can get down. And he's like, I'm not that old. What are you talking about? And he was like Sanford and Son 227. He's a good character. He was good at he is a great actor, but I liked him more for his character acting. He did like funny bits and different things.
Yeah,
He was great. He was
it's
fun.
good. A lot of the Police Academy cast were there. Not a lot, four or
Oh yeah.
five, I think. Yeah, so that was,
Barbara Eden.
and Barbara Eden was there. Have you met Barbara before? Or
I have not.
okay, so she looks pretty good. So
Yeah, I thought she
yeah,
looked good. And did you get the urn, not the urn, the
no, the
lamp,
bottle. No,
the bottle?
they always bring them and sell them, but I've not. I was not a huge. I mean, I watched it in some reruns, but I was never a kind of a constant fan for um, I Dream of Jeannie. But
And I was more of a Bewitched person, which
yeah,
I have
oh
a
yeah.
theory about that after this
Oh,
segment.
do you? Okay. Well, it's funny because that's going to be Celebrant's anniversary. It's funny you brought that up because it was like, I was like, oh, I need to get some screenshots of the house because the house is now gone.
The Bewitched house
Yeah, it's
from
torn
the
down
Elizabeth Montgomery version.
for the on the Warner Brothers Ranch. Yeah, it was torn down. So, but I got to see it. But I think the anniversary is coming up, so I thought, oh, should probably make a post about that. But
You did a great post with the Universal, the backlot tours, and different
oh yeah,
attractions that are gone.
yeah. Well, I've been to Universal Studios quite a bit, and then they're having a special 60th anniversary from now till August, kind of the glam tram and a stop off, and I was like, I don't know if they're gonna. So I was like, I'm gonna do it again, and I always do VIP, obviously, obviously.
Obviously,
But it was nice, you get off at the Bates Motel. And you can have a photo op at the
I
Bates
love that.
Motel. So one, you rarely get to VIP tours. Usually get to wander around the Bates Motel, and then you kind of walk around. There's some photo ops like with King Kong and Fast and Furious, and then not the same shark they had way back. They used to have a
Right.
hanging shark, kind of something similar. So yeah, it was good. I'm glad they did it, and I think like 1 out of 4 or the glam trams, kind of the old. They decorated it kind of like the red and white stripe, but they had to do it
Yeah.
to the diesel one. Like right now, they only use electric, so they dug out their old diesel trams.
Oh,
So you figure
really?
it's like it's not super loud, but it's louder than an
Yeah.
electric car, and so it was kind of nice, kind of little throwback. I'm glad I did it. So
I remember as a kid going on that. Was when they had the earthquake, the
yep,
ride, like the
still do it.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
It was like,
which shows up in Beverly Hills Cop 3.
which, by the way, I did go through your page. It doesn't show up in Beverly. Oh,
It
right.
does, yeah. The
The
alien attack is what it's called in the
Alien Attack.
yeah.
That's it. I did go. I was on Set Jetter last night, and I saw the Beverly Hills Cop 4 Axel F
Ooh,
thing,
yes.
which is great. And I did see the Universal Studios flashback, which is cool. The reason I said Bewitched and on the same note of I Dream of Jeannie is for whatever reason, I know that sounds weird, but as a kid, those two went like hand in hand. They were like similar shows to me. It was like the genie and the witch. They can just make things happen. And I always was partial to Bewitched. But
did you want to live in the bottle?
I didn't want to live in the bottle. The Billy Worth was the other guy I wanted to mention that we
Yes.
met, I thought was pretty interesting guy to talk to.
Yeah, so mostly known as one of the Lost Boys, but we just kind of doubled down and talked to him about Body Snatchers.
Of course, which
Yeah.
we had to. And he mentioned how when he saw a screening of that, things obviously look different on screen, but he was describing the scene where they let the kid go, that which I kind of forgot about that, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen. It's definitely due to rewatch that, but he was an interesting guy to talk to.
Yeah, I think we need to have him on the show.
Yeah, we do have to have him on. It'd be great. Okay, so Bewitched theory. I was looking up facts about Bewitched the other night, as you do.
What else would you be doing on a Monday
course. Night? And I saw that Elizabeth Montgomery died in the 90s at 60, whatever. And then Darren York died
or go ahead.
Died around the same age in 92 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Dick Sargent, was it?
Yep.
Died around the same age in 91. So I'm like, these guys all died within like 4 or 5 years.
I know what you looked up, but go ahead.
I looked up the curse.
Yep.
I have never heard of this, but on my own reconnaissance, was like, there has to be a conspiracy theory about this.
Yeah.
And there was. But I don't know anything about it because I I just went to Snopes, but do you
Mhm.
know about this?
Well, I was curious because I think Agnes Moorehead also I mean, obviously, eh, they were all not elderly, but you know, they're getting up there as well. But
And Dick York smoked like 3 packs a
yeah,
day.
yeah. So there was other, you know, issues and so
Yeah.
forth. But part of it is they also think they were. I read something about the sets and asbesto. I mean, that's the way.
Oh, was it their
And that
asbestos?
they talk about the curse, but they're like they also think of the reality. There's probably a lot contributed to, you know, all
Yeah.
that stuff that they were just, you know, didn't realize at the time was very, very bad for you.
Yeah, that is bad. So at least you knew about that and did
Yeah,
your
now that you
homework.
said it, I was like, oh, I do remember something like that. And I was like, but they also talked about it was not the healthiest of
No.
environments at that time.
No, no, because they were in the article or the thing I was looking at, Dick York would be walking around set smoking all day. And I mean, 3 packs, you have to be smoking one after the other.
Yeah, I think yeah, everybody was smoking on the set too, and I'm just like, that was just the way it was, you know.
Yeah, they're smoking everywhere.
Yeah,
But it was great to see you and see
likewise.
the Hollywood show, and that was fun. I'm now a veteran, of course, at the
Yeah, you're
Hollywood
like
show.
now you know what you're doing. You even came on a Friday night.
Came on the
It's just
Friday night.
yeah,
Our buddy Brian said, "Oh, I saw Corey Feldman. He looked like he just came from the Smooth Criminal video," and he did.
he did. I
I
went
I,
back and got a picture with him
I love that
uh
you did that.
I think I don't know, we had you gone already? Because he had he was being a good sport, and he went over to the Sid Croft area and did a video with the Land of the Lost.
I did
And
see
I
that
was like, yo, you know,
on.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and so I was kind of like, I was like, you know, it's almost the same thing that happened several years ago when I was like, you know what, he seems a down to earth guy, and so I was kind of wandering around back, and there was one person waiting for him to come back to his table. I'm like, oh, is he still signing? He's like, yeah, he'll come back. So I would, because you saw the line for him earlier, which was
it was
crazy. So
crazy.
yeah, so he came back, and I took a quick photo with him. So
It was a good photo. I
yeah,
thought you were gonna say he did the same thing he did a few years ago, where he got drunk and ripped a cord and everything. Somebody died, and it was crazy. But
and
you're like, yeah,
that
he was
was
down
that.
there.
Yeah, and he was never asked back again. No, but
That's
yeah,
cool.
so
I mean, he is an icon.
yeah, but yeah, he's been in a lot. So
He's been in some of the most iconic films. I
yeah.
mean, he's had a weird second act, but uh, yeah, it was. But I saw. I was talking to somebody, and they said, "Oh, did you see Corey Feldman?" I said, "Yeah, I didn't meet him,
Yeah,
but he
yeah.
dressed like the Smooth Criminal."
Yeah,
I was
he
using that
was
line.
dressed up, so
He was dressed up.
he was ready to go. Yeah,
It was fun though.
but
But
yeah.
so let's jump into what you've been watching. We got some juicy ones, and apparently we've been listening to some Jimmy Buffett music because we both watched volcano movies.
We did. So tell me what you've been watching first.
Okay, so I watched Volcano, which is a poor man's Dante's Peak.
Well, this was, and for listeners, this was one of those years where two competing volcano movies were happening almost at the same time.
Yeah, around that time there was almost two different disaster movies competing a year. There was Volcano, there was Armageddon and Deep Impact. There was like a lot going on, but
Yeah,
Volcano I haven't seen in years.
and
It's fine.
yeah,
It's fine. That's it.
it's so for viewers that don't, volcano takes place in a volcano in LA.
Yeah, the tar pits.
Yeah,
There's
so
some geological
yeah,
disturbance,
um,
and Anne Hesh is the like geologist, and
yeah,
Tommy Lee Jones is the director of management
emergency system. Yeah,
services.
yeah,
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 and they have to race to evacuate people out of the area and then try to stop the thing.
yeah.
But apparently, like zoning goes out of the way because they're like, let's just blow up a building, and the police are like, get some
All right,
demolition, and you're
that'll
like,
do it.
I don't
Whoops.
think you can just do $2 billion of damage when there's people across the street. And I remember Tommy Lee Jones, his character, they're like, take him to Cedars. We're all just going to Cedars. Just take him down to Cedars. And you're like, yeah, it is the closest hospital, but it seemed like a
Uh,
lazy plot point. They're
well,
like, just take him to the hospital. Like,
that's what they do.
yeah,
Um,
go to Cedars. It seemed
uh,
like a commercial for Cedars in the beginning, I
yeah,
think.
for ways like yeah, all roads lead to Cedars.
Right.
It is like actually drove through that spot where the movie's supposed to take place. I think they shot a little bit there, but otherwise it was all built in a studio, I think, in a Downey. And now that street looks completely different. Uh,
Oh, really?
with
The lot
yeah,
that
because
they filmed it
the
in?
museum is gone, and now there's a huge thing over Wilshire now that they built for the, I guess, incoming subway station.
Oh,
and so
right,
forth.
right.
So, which is part of
Yeah.
the plot was it's going through the sub.
Yeah.
Now
That's why when the
now
guy,
now
the
it's
character
happening.
actor, I forget his name, gave his life in the
Yep.
metro.
Now it's happening. It's happening for real.
Now it's really
Now
happening,
it's
and
really happening.
people are really pissed.
But yeah, so I'll get to my volcano movie that I watched when you're done.
Okay,
But
so
yeah,
yeah, I watched Volcano. It's okay.
yeah.
And I rewatched Defiance, which, as you know, I'm a big Glory fan,
Hmm.
and Edward Zwick, he directed this. It's World War II. It's a true Matthew movie, Robert.
I was gonna say, mm-hmm.
It's got James Bond as the character, and um,
A
it's a true
character
story.
playing a character.
Yeah, what's his name? The guy who played James Bond in Casino Royale. Um,
Uh,
Knives Out. I'm drawing
Daniel. Uh,
Daniel.
we
What's
have
his
all the
name?
answers
We
here.
have all the answers here.
This
Well,
is where I
that
drink
guy.
too much Diet Coke.
Well, he Dyke. He it was
Daniel, are you talking about
Daniel
Daniel
Craig.
Craig? Okay.
Yeah, he's really good in that. And Lee Schreiber's in it, and it's got yeah, it's an untold true story about partisans from World War II, Jewish partisans, and they stave off the Nazis. And yeah, it's a gritty movie.
Okay.
It's well done. I've always enjoyed that one. Haven't seen it in a minute, so I revisited that, which is fun. And then I rewatched Glass. Another shot.
Oh.
We've been talking about
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
Shyamalan
sorry.
lately.
Oh, yes. And
Oh,
did it
it's
any
okay.
better?
I
Or
rewatched Split too.
okay.
Yeah.
And
So
Split was I like Split. I think it went on a little bit too long, but
yeah, it
otherwise,
did.
it it's hard to say because a lot of M Nights is kind of really made for that first time watching, experiencing when you don't know what's happening next, which is great. And so
Right.
sometimes it doesn't um, work as well second time. But I felt like it had a good solid cast. So
Yeah, I thought the cast was good, and I think, and you're absolutely right. It's typical Shyamalan. It's one or two locations, and this, principal cast of like three or four. I think the fact that he's able to act in that range kind of makes it a little bit more rewatchable than some of his others because it's like watching a one man show. But it's at the Philadelphia Zoo, which I love. So I kind of love that whole setting. But I felt the same thing you did. I think it went on a little too long. They could have cut out like 20 minutes of it. I think might have
we'll
been.
call him and say, here's what you need to do.
Here's what you need to do.
Which
Here's some cuts you need to make.
I wonder how long Trap is, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm really curious about that. Like,
Yeah.
how can they put a twist?
Yeah. So is this live? Are people like what? Like where's
Yeah,
the show
people are
at now?
watching.
Okay. I was just curious.
I don't.
Not that I
I can't see who, but if you have any
Okay.
comments, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions or comments, comment in the chat. We'll be
Like,
happy to
shut those guys up.
read some juicy questions they have. And then I feel like I watched something else and I forgot to put it on here.
I always do that. I'm like, I'm sure.
Do
I
you?
watched something? Yeah.
And I remember watching it and thinking, I'll remember.
Oh, I'll better put this down, and I never do.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
And I watched Greyhound, which I've never seen before. It's another World War II movie with Tom Hanks.
Oh, tell me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Oh, tell me more.
Tell me more. So it's Elizabeth Shue and Tom Hanks.
Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah.
Ah.
And she's like the girl. It's based on a book, and I never read the book, but she's his girlfriend, and he's like, maybe when I get back, well, I'll ask you to marry me finally. And I'm like, you guys are in your 50s, and it's supposed to be 1942.
Oh,
I feel like you should ask her now.
They were. That's.
It was a stretch. Was my point. He still looks like a younger guy than he is. He could have. I bought him as a 40 whatever year old he's supposed to be, but he's 60 in this movie, and he's like, maybe and his hair was dyed and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it didn't. I don't know. That was kind of weird. It was like DiCaprio in the Native American movie where he's like, I'm coming back from World War I. I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
You or your kid.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of like that, but overall it was okay. I probably wouldn't watch it again.
Speaking of Elizabeth Shue, I think Karate Kid is celebrating its 40th anniversary.
Amistad was what I watched.
Oh, okay.
Didn't mean to interrupt you, but I would forget again.
Here I am talking about the Karate Kid, and you ended up with another historical drama.
I'm sorry. That was it. I watched Amistad. I've never seen it before. I liked it. There was I had a few things with anachronisms that were off.
Yeah.
Like
Were
Martin
they
Van
on?
Buren was not campaigning in 1840 for re-election because
I said, were
nobody
they
campaigned then.
were they on cell phones on the boat? Is that what?
Right. It's a very powerful movie, but there was a scene. Anthony Hopkins has this great like 7-minute monologue, but he's John Quincy Adams, and twice during the monologue they had a picture and then a sculpture of John Adams in the back looking, and I'm like, it's way too on the nose.
Mm.
Like, make it very subtle, but as if I guess Spielberg was like, "You're all dumb. You're not gonna get the reference. He's the son of John Adams." So they put like his face behind him, and I'm like, I don't know. It was a little over the
A little,
top.
something a little.
But what about you? What have you been watching? All Karate Kid
Uh,
juiciness, I'm
well,
sure.
I haven't rewatched. I just remember like I think the Karate Kid's anniversary is coming up next. 40 years.
Damn
Crazy.
it, it is. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's crazy how that happens. So yeah, my volcano movie I watched was Dante's Peak.
Oh, how was that hold
It
up?
was a hotel watch,
What?
as happens, and I'm like, oh, well, let me get stuck watching this. Um,
Dante's Peak.
I
This
haven't
is
seen,
Pierce Brosnan.
yeah, Pierce Brosnan, Linda Hamilton. I haven't seen it in a while, so
Yeah.
which is usually the better of the two, um,
Yeah.
for a number of reasons. And it still has decent effects, and there is, and I know that I've done watch Corridor Crew on YouTube. So a while ago, they sometimes take older movies, I should say, and try to figure out like how did they do that. And there's some miniatures in there that you
In Dante's
in
Peak.
Dante's Peak that don't actually look like miniatures, including vehicles and bridge. I mean, it's just how they do this all in one shot, because they had obviously CGI back then, but
Yeah.
it was still in a little bit of a infancy. But yeah, so some of the effects still hold up pretty well. But yeah, and when there's still one line in that movie that Wendy and I still do. If
Which one is it?
there's a line where Linda Hamilton and Pierce Brosnan are kind of walking and home flirting or whatever, they're kindling
Oh
romance.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think
Because she has kids, right?
yeah, and then it's either the town mayor or something drives by and is like, "Hey, you two," and that's it. That's
Right.
yeah.
We all live on a mountain. Like, hey, you two, I'm about
And
to
so
go.
yeah, Lee Garlington does that line. She was in Psycho 2 and Psycho 3 she played at the diner. But so sometimes like if Wendy's driving by, like if I'm walking maybe, or it was like she'd drive by like, "Hey, you two."
Hey, you two.
I
Hey.
mean, we said in the theater we were just dying laughing. I remember that in the theater because we just thought it was amusing. But
It
anyway,
is funny.
it still holds up pretty well. Same thing as like the coda is probably a little too long because yeah, they're like trapped. Or are they gonna? I'm like, oh, well, I think they'll survive. We don't need to draw
Yeah.
this out anymore. But
I remember
yeah,
it reached the point where he was like in the Jeep with the
yeah,
daughter or something. And then next thing you know, they're like crossing a river and there's like another mountain.
yeah.
It was like a lot going on.
It does have moments of like one thing, like in that damn grandma, just like come on, get off
Oh
of the
yeah, I
mountain.
forgot
Yeah,
about
and you're
her.
like, she's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, everything is your
I was
fault.
born here.
Everybody would have been safe if you would just came down from the fucking mountain,
Right. They're
like we
wasting all
told you to.
these
But
resources
put
on
the
this old
grandkids in
bat.
jeopardy. Now I'm hating on the film, but I'm hating more on the character. But it's just like, uh, but yeah, those kids shouldn't be driving up the mountain, and then
No.
and then they're driving, and then some things I'm like, they're when they're driving through the lava, to the point the tires are on fire, and I'm like,
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
I think the gas tank might have exploded by now,
Yeah, I
but
think you're done.
I could be, and
And I
then
think rubber's done at that point.
the acid,
Did did was Pierce Brosnan like what was he doing up there? He was there like researching
he
something,
was a
right?
volcanologist, yeah. So he was, because
Right,
his
right,
fiance or wife got killed in
right.
the opening scene, and so he's like, it's gonna, it's gonna blow," and it's like, we get. Are you gonna close the beaches?
I didn't agree to that.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so it's still a fun watch. So
It is a good watch.
also The Boys, the new season started, so they had the first 3
Oh yeah.
episodes. I don't know. Do you watch The Boys at all?
First season. I
Okay.
forgot the new one came out.
So equally as gory as so far.
Nice.
They're leaning a little. It's some things, I'll be honest, are a little too on the nose. Like now Homelander is really being Trumpish. Like he's talking about like you're all special people. Like literally lines are lifted directly from
Oh, really?
Trump, which
They're they're borrowing it right there.
yeah, they're just blatantly. So so it's still a good watch. I'll kind of see how we how this season fares. So,
Yeah.
I gave a revisit to Rosemary's Baby, the TV remake series,
Oh, yeah,
which
we've talked about that.
yeah, and so I didn't like it the first time. Zoe Saldana
No?
plays Rosemary in this, and so it's kind of updated and so forth, and takes place in Paris instead of New York, and so there's some decent changes that I think work, because I kind of like she doesn't know the language, she's in a scare, like, and also helps explains like how a young couple can afford a
Yeah.
huge, they kind of try to over explain that. So it actually fared better than I think. It's one of those things. Once I let go of like this is just another version. There will never best the original Rosemary's Baby. That I was like, okay, I did not hate it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I kinda wanna check it out
yeah.
now because I know you've mentioned that. Gotta give a quick shout out. I'm sorry, Robert.
Mm.
Uh, we have, somebody listening, Black Cloud, who loved your aliens joke on the Romulus trailer last week,
Well,
when you said they borrowed from other movies
mo-
mostly, or whatever that was. Um,
mostly they mostly part from other movies mostly.
but, we'll answer your question, Black Cloud, but
Yeah.
I'll have Robert finish
Okay.
what you've been watching because 'cause they're juicy and glorious.
The end. And then I was going down. I don't know, another remake, A Kiss Before Dying, with Matthew Dillon. Is it Matthew Dillon? Um,
Yeah. Matt
uh,
Dillon?
yeah, and Sean Young, 1991. So, have you seen this film?
No.
It's okay. Oh, I think I know why.
I would
Because
remember that, I think.
yeah, I was like, what's the connection? Ira Levin also wrote uh, this. So Ira Levin wrote Rosemary's Babies and Rosemary's Baby, Stepford Wives, A Kiss Before Dying, Sliver, and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, let me go down that kind of Ira Levin, and I was like, and it's weird because so Sean Young plays two characters more or less, one in the beginning and one to the rest of the movie, kind of twins. But for some reason they overdub her for the first twin. Like,
Really?
yeah, and I don't know if they want a different, she has a horrible blonde wig on, and then, but then they overdub her with some weird, and like, Sean Young, I mean, her voice, and so it's
Yeah.
like, it doesn't quite match, and it's not right, and you're like, well, what? It just takes you out of the,
Why would
out of,
they do that?
I don't know if they wanted to differentiate her, or maybe Sean was doing some time affectation on set and they didn't like it or something like that. I don't know,
That's probably what it was.
but yeah, Diane Ladd has a small role in it, so it's goofy. It's goofy fun, it just really. But the thing is, it hits moments that made me take it seriously because, um, is it Howard Shore did the soundtrack, um, and he also did the
I
soundtrack
like Howard Shore. He did, Aviator too,
yeah,
and a bunch of others.
so he did the soundtrack for Silence of the Lambs, also in 1991. There are some
Quid
moments
pro
that it
quo.
feels like it's lifted directly. This is the same soundtrack as Silence of the Lambs. So there's
Hmm,
a B-list movie scene going on, but it has a Silence of the Lambs soundtrack, and so it kind of feels like it authenticizes it.
interesting.
And I was just like, because like dun, 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 I was like, oh my goodness,
It makes you wanna watch
this
Silence of
is
the
a
Lambs.
serious movie, and
Yeah,
it's really
you're right.
not. But yeah, I was like, well, that's straight. But
They
it
do
was
that sometimes.
they do.
Amistad is John Williams, and he a lot of his
Yeah.
stuff sounds the same, but it's very similar to The Patriot,
Mm,
which is another historical drama, not by Spielberg, from 2000, and you could hear it's kind of the same notes,
yeah.
but then The Rock is the same, Nikki Glennie Smith, and did the soundtrack for that,
Yeah.
and he did it for Man in the Iron Mask, and they're, like, identical. I mean, it would be copyright infringement if it wasn't
Yeah.
the same guy, and
It's
you're
the
like,
same.
he really I think he was just like, "Fuck it, you guys are giving me,
Yeah.
like, 3 months, it's DiCaprio right off Titanic. Take this." It's like an outtake, and
Just
it's like the same songs.
put it on. Well, it's like John Williams, JFK in Jurassic Park. The dum 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 dum. Like it
Oh,
was like
yeah.
literally the same. It's actually just the same music. Uh,
Yeah.
but anyway, so it kind of felt like it was a good B-list movie to watch. I'm glad I'll watch it in another 7.5 years or whenever. But
7.5 years.
But I may have a story to tell you about The Rock, but I don't know if I can tell it right now. But
Oh,
we shall see, because I had
keep me waiting.
another. Yeah, so I don't know if I can talk about, because my second half of my LA trip, well, I did a lot of Beverly Hills Cop series locations, 1, 2, 3, and 4,
Oh, hell yeah.
which I started posting so far. But I was also able to stop by the Paramore estate for a couple days. Had a
Oh,
friend
sweet.
staying there, and that was shooting a video. So I don't think I can
Nice.
talk about too much more than that right now, but I can have a story to tell you about that at some point. So anyway,
Oh, can't wait.
soon to come. So
Also, before the final one, because
yes.
this will go into our next segment, you have a question.
Mm,
This is from Black Cloud. Thank you for watching, sir. So the question is, Robert, so with Alien Romulus coming out and the Alien TV show coming out
mm.
soon, what else can the franchise do to scare fans? I mean, we all know at this point everyone will die and no one will survive. That's a good question. I don't think you can scare fans in the franchise anymore. I feel like you can do things that are cool that'll keep them interested, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't have an answer. I don't know what you could do. If you know the franchise, you're not going to be scared of it. You're, at least for me, it's just more interesting. I don't know. What do you think? Like,
It's
jump
hard.
scares?
So when you go back to the original Alien, and part of it is, it's a haunted house movie and a single alien, and it was all suspense and thriller and
Yeah.
so forth. And then once that rabbit's out of the hat, you can't go back. You can't do that again. And so that's why when James Cameron kind of doubled down, was like, okay, if we can't do that, Alien times 100 for that, which is kind of one way to go. But it's very hard to, even if a movie like Alien was tried to almost be remade, it would no longer work, because we're like, we know we know what it is. So unless it's so
Right.
when you stay in that universe, you're like, well, what else can we do? And then obviously Ridley Scott kind of ran into that, and tried to come up with kind of some other alterations. Same thing like with the Jurassic Park franchise. What else can they do
Great
to,
example.
we can't recreate that magic? Like, oh, they try to, and they're, and so in even the last one, they're like, oh, dinosaurs, and they're doing the same thing. I was like, it's no longer magical to the rest of us, because we've seen it for decades. So
Right. What can you do? I mean,
yeah.
and that comes to the, now obviously everything's about money, but that comes to the
Hmm.
point, like, is it worth it to
Yeah.
saturate this brand so bad?
And
Now,
it's
everybody likes the first Jurassic Park and
yeah.
usually aliens, but a lot
Hmm.
of times Alien. But I mean, you keep adding on to it. I mean,
Yeah.
after like Alien versus Predator Requiem, you kind of thought it was going to go away, and you're like,
Hmm.
nope, coming back.
And variation. So, and there,
Yeah,
I kind of had higher hopes before I saw the latest trailer, that they might be able to make another suspense film of, like, if it's a nobody cast, we don't know who's
hmm,
going to survive. Great, it's equal footing, like, and it'll be kind of like 10 Little Indians, of like who's going to go next. You don't know. So they could have built suspense again, kind of that way. I'm thinking back to The Descent, where the group of women kind of go down to the
yeah, good
caves, and you're
flick.
kind of like, who you kind of knew who the final person was going to be, but you didn't know who was. There was suspense that they kind of built with that. So they could almost do that again. But when I see the trailer, like I said, they're doing the greatest hits of all
Yeah,
the aliens, good and bad.
even the fonts and
Yeah.
and this and the sound effects, they're
Um, so
just
I don't
throw it
know.
in there.
And sometimes I accidentally see, like, on my YouTube algorithm, because Alien Theory, and like literally I saw one, I didn't click on it, but I just saw the image. I'm like, oh shoot, like, now I have that in my mind. I won't share it here, but I was just like, with the Alien Romulus theory, like this, when it's what the actual tie is and stuff like that. I'm like, shoot, just usually, but which would be kind of a good idea if I think
Right.
it's true. But anyway,
Good call. That's a really good answer.
but yeah, so I don't know if they can put to go back to your
Yeah, no, good.
I dream a genie, put the genie back in the bottle.
I dream of you. But yeah, good question, Black Cloud. Good
Yeah,
comments too. Thanks for checking it
I
out.
know.
But we watched we went down a Hulu trip this weekend. and watch Brats, which I didn't even know existed until you told me. And then I watched it that night. I thought that's an awesome concept.
Yeah, so Brats is, if people are not familiar, Andrew McCarthy did a film kind of revisiting the Brat Pack and what that term meant, more or less, when that happened, and he was kind of part of the Brat Pack, and so he has a decent little documentary, and it's funny because when kind of things hit quite the zeitgeist, but it has shown up. You see it a lot on people's Facebooks watching the Brats, so I think it's getting
Oh yeah,
kind of some traction. So yeah, so you weren't quite in this; you were too young for this era. So what were your thoughts when you watched the documentary?
I enjoyed it. So I watched these movies later, obviously after they came out. I mean, I was like 4 when The Breakfast Club came out, so I wasn't forgetting about you. But
Uh,
I uh, I like the Brat Pack those films later on, but I do like them a lot. Like 16 Candles was the first DVD I ever got, and it was nice to see. I was really glad he got most of the cast members back.
mhm.
A lot of time these documentaries they get like 2 people, and like the 2 you really want to see like aren't there, and you're like it's fine, but
Yeah,
I I do like that they were so open about it, and even Robert Downey Jr. and or I'm sorry, Rob Lowe
mhm,
was talking about how uh, it was necessary for that to happen. I'm trying not to give anything away
yeah,
for them to go to the next thing, and I don't know. It was a good retrospective. I enjoyed it. I thought it was
yeah.
good.
At first, I was a little taken because I was like, Andrew McCarthy is still upset about.
Yeah, me too. He was like, "Well, I gotta let it go." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I would
been.
say so, or own it. Like you were in
Yeah,
these great movies. Like, why wouldn't you? Yeah, own it.
yeah,
Go to
and
the Hollywood show and sell some autographs."
yeah, yeah, you feel like you really made it there. Um, but it
All the stars.
all the stars. But yeah, because when it started, it was just like you need to, because I get nobody wants to be called a brat, but um,
Right. Yeah.
the the more I thought about it, so when this was at the mid mid uh, mid '80s when this writer coined Brat Pack, and I was like, this was a hashtag before there was hashtags, and this Brat Pack went viral before there was a viral thought process. Now
Yeah.
this would have been super intentional. The studios would have grabbed on it, Barbenheimer type thing. Like they would have ran with it,
Yeah.
and then some kind of say, you know what, this was the best thing that could have happened because they were not going to be uh, that type of clout is short term no matter what. So
Exactly. And they were trying to blame that on that article, and
yeah, which
no.
really had kind of not too much to do with it. And but the thing is, like that particular group, like you said, everything's kind of clustered in those kind of few years in the '80s, and probably not replicable again, or kind of not to that extent. Plus, this was no internet, no, we had some teen
No.
magazines and stuff like that, so everything was just kind of uh,
Yeah.
as we kind of read. So I don't know if it's fortunate, not fortunate. So I was a teenager when, I was
That's fortunate. That's
I was
great.
14 when 16 Candles came out, and 15 when The Breakfast Club came out, and 16 when Pretty in Pink came out, and
You were right there.
17 when St. Elmo's Fire came out. Yeah, so I was 17 with Less Than Zero and so forth. Yeah, so I was right in the middle
You're smack dab in the middle
of
there.
the Brat Pack. But I remember at the time it was like one, they should have taken it as a great term of endearment to be,
Yeah.
I think,
Oh, back
because
to back. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, but
Especially with John Hughes, who was, coming into his own. He wasn't the legend that he is now when he did Breakfast Club, but when he said, "I make movies to last,"
mhm.
was a good haunting line because you're like, for better or for worse, if you love his movies or don't, we're still talking about planes, trains, and automobiles 40 years later, and it's Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles. Like those kind of movies rivaled movies in the late 90s and early 2000s that don't hold up as well, and they did. So I mean,
Yeah,
they're very special.
absolutely. And then I don't know if it's in the documentary, but
Nobody's watching Sorority Boys, and wait a
hey,
second,
I'm still watching
I'm just kidding.
Brat Pack 2.0. Was in the documentary that the gal talking about John Hughes also introduced us to alternative music
Yeah.
that was
New age,
non
like
pop, yeah,
Euro
stuff like
pop.
that.
Yeah.
Because all of his soundtracks were filled. I mean, there was some pop music in there, but uh, with music not normally listened to by American kids, and so
Right.
that kind of opened it up. Even Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I remember it just had a wealth of
Yeah.
uh,
Horrible
to it.
music,
Yeah.
but like good. Well, I mean, Plane, Trains, Automobiles.
What?
There's some
Yeah.
horrible songs in there, but you love
Yeah.
them because you're like
Yeah.
they're in the movie, and I remember the
Yeah.
scene. But you're right. People typically wouldn't listen to those, and it's kind of like the never-ending story thing. Like they had these synth rich Brit pop music that like just took the airwaves,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's like really like that stuff. So it worked. They perfect accompaniment to the film.
I did probably appreciate Demi Moore the most. She seemed kind of the most
Yeah,
insightful of the
yeah,
group.
good
Um,
call.
and she was kind of good introspective, and she's just happy to. I think um, I was thinking back to her the other day after kind of watching this because she kind of got a roller coaster of her life of Ashton Kutcher and back and
Yeah,
forth, and then at the time, and you were probably too young, but it was such a big deal when she posed nude pregnant
I
in that magazine,
remember.
and that was people were like up in arms, and she it was almost like a Madonna moment, like where she had it right. She's like, "What is the big deal?" Like
Yeah.
I can be sexy and a mother. Why are we?
And she was the highest
Yeah.
paid female actress on the planet at the time.
Hmm.
It was
Oh yeah,
like
for
20 million
striptease, no less. But yeah, so
for
but
strip. Yeah.
yeah,
But no, I
um,
do remember
yeah,
it was like 12 or something, but I remember that being like a big deal.
hmm,
That she was like doing it nude. And you're like,
yeah, and people were
okay.
like upset, like she should be hide. It was kind of like just Puritan, like she should be hiding that pregnant belly. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Why is that? Right.
But
John and Yoko were nude on their album cover in 1968. Like
but she wasn't
it's,
pregnant.
it's
She wasn't.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. God forbid.
she shows up at Madonna shows too. I think her and Madonna are
Demi
friends.
Moore does.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, and Ashton Kutcher separately. No, of course, but
But they both go.
yeah. So
Oh,
I've
nice.
seen them at shows. So yeah, I was trying to think anybody. Ali Sheedy seems kind of really kind of down to earth.
She
Yeah,
looked cool too.
yeah,
Like she
yeah.
was just hanging in there, and that's what one thing I loved about them is none of them took themselves too seriously or were
Mhm.
like, very back, and it was just they knew exactly what they were in, what they've been in retrospect, and it
Yeah,
added like insightfulness to it. It wasn't
yeah,
just like, oh, John on set was really magical and
yeah,
using like hyperboles. It was
yeah,
like, yeah, we didn't know what to do, and John let an actress do this, and
hmm,
like it was cool. It added
yeah,
like it was important, I thought.
yeah. And I remember Demi had mentioned that she um, uh, had a handler on the set
Demi Moore
because
had a handler
yeah, because
on St. Elmo's Fire.
Joel Schumacher really wanted her, and I think she had some either drinking issues or something like that. But so she much like
Oh,
had somebody
right.
to, and my handler's the wrong word. I can't remember what she said, but to make he wanted her so she for this role, but he wanted to make sure that she kind of kept in line and so forth. So which I think she kind of credits Joel Schumacher
Good
for
call.
that. So I did after watching. I was like, oh, let me watch. So I did rewatch Santa Mo's Fire, which usually I give a lot of flack to because it is kind of it was at the tail end. Like this has had the most Brat Packs ever in
Yeah, it was a prerequisite to
in one
be in.
place at
Yeah.
one time. And I remember at the time, so I was 17 at the time, and these were college graduates, so they seemed too old for me.
Oh,
I was like,
okay.
I don't get it. I'm like, and I don't want to be like them when I graduate from college.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, they have so many problems. So
That's a good call. Yeah,
yeah,
because it was after that.
yeah. But yeah, so
I
I
do
did
remember.
rewatch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you,
so
you put you put a list here too, which
yeah, so I put like one more for reference because like who they consider kind of be part of the Brat Pack, and so we have
that's
Emilio
a good point.
Estevez, Rob Lowe, Molly Ringwald, Franny, Rob Lowe, and Molly Ringwald, stars of The Stand,
Yes.
Demi Moore, Andrew McCarthy, Anthony Michael Hall, Judd Nelson, and Ali Sheedy, and so most of them kind of showed up. Emilio Estevez has been the most elusive; he doesn't really do too much
Yeah,
anymore. So I did feel he was very aware of the camera. He was. I felt like he was trying not to look at the camera, like he's like, because I don't
I
think he's.
probably
Yeah.
eh,
Um.
the What's Fresh Horses? I don't know this
So
one.
here, I did a little search because I was like, what do they consider Brat Pack movies? And some I would say, oh, definitely these are Brat Pack movies, and some I'm like, I don't know if I would consider this. So, and some were so like The Outsiders
Oh,
is listed, even though it was kind of a I'm gonna call pre
but
Brat
it
Pack,
is.
but everybody's in it. You know,
Yeah, yeah, it is
yeah,
kind of always left out, but
yeah.
no, it's got everybody in it.
Oxford Blues, which was one of the first PG-13 movies of Rob Lowe. So Class had Andrew McCarthy and Rob Lowe. So then we get into 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, Sun Was Fire, which are kind of the core ones. And then they also have included About Last Night, which is, Rob Lowe.
Yeah.
Fresh Horses also has, I think it's Molly Ringwald and Andrew McCarthy kind of reuniting, but
Oh,
it wasn't
okay.
as, Weird Science. But they also put Betsy's Wedding, which is like, I don't think people even know what movie that is. And
No.
Molly's really the only backpack in there. And then I included, it's not always included, but I put Less Than Zero because I feel like that's also in that
Yeah,
same,
that's a prep. Yeah, I'm on board for that 100%.
time and stuff like that. But so it's kind of like this acting troupe that would
Pretty much.
show up, in these movies, and we all watched them, and
We all watch them.
they were our go-tos and so forth. But
It's a great list.
and then in the movie they also talk about Brat Pack adjacent people, which they weren't part of the Brat Pack, like
Leah
the Leah
Thompson.
Thompsons and so forth.
Yeah.
But there was a number of Brat Pack adjacents that I think if they could, they would be part of it. But yeah.
Yeah. Why? I mean, at that point, why wouldn't you? It's like I
Yeah.
would
Oh,
love to be a
you'd
part.
want to be,
Of
on
course.
that. You want to be on that list. So, yeah. So I felt, and the thing is, like, I felt like it could have gone just a little bit deeper. Not that I want a Bratz 2, but I was just like, I think we could have gone a little.
Yeah.
I want a little. I felt like I still want to know a little bit more. I could have spent.
Yeah.
I could have spent more time with Demi, and just kind of really. Oh, and that's why. So anyway, I was talking about her kind of roller coaster, and then I think she's just really came into herself, and especially with once Bruce Willis was diagnosed, that she's kind of, I think, circled the horses with her family and back to Bruce Willis, and making sure that he's having good final days, with his
Yeah.
family. So
I think so. Very, very grounded and
yeah.
like doing the right stuff.
I saw her in real life at Sundance, and she's still stunning.
Really
Yeah.
in the
Uh,
snow.
yeah. I was just like, oh, and then who else have I met? Rob Lowe. I met at Madonna. So, and Rob Lowe,
Yeah.
he looks just like Rob Lowe.
He doesn't age. The guy's
No,
got the
no.
best genes. He's like
Have
a
you,
Sean Kanan. They just like
I,
get younger.
do you see his sons? His sons are also like model looking, of
Who's
course.
that?
Rob Lowe's sons.
Oh no, I
Yeah.
haven't.
Unsurprising,
Oh, of
like,
course, of course.
yeah. Well, there's some celebrities that I guess that's not
Trolls.
always true. That I
Yeah.
won't name names right now, but one of the persons on this Brat Pack list and their husband are good looking, and their kids really
Interesting.
are not. I won't name names, but anyway,
I know who you're talking about.
yes, we all know who we're talking about. But anyway, so I don't know. So I don't. I might be going down the Brat Pack movies revisited. Now that's kind of in my
I
mind.
I really want to watch one. I did start watching Breakfast Club after I watched that, but it was late. I didn't want to half-ass it, so I'm going to watch that this week.
That was a big deal. Was it 15?
Big
Saturday
deal.
school.
The principal in that movie, I
Yeah.
forget the actor's name. He passed away.
He did, yeah.
I met him not long before he passed in
Uh,
Pennsylvania. I was an extra on some like movie, and he was in there, and we were filming at Washington's Crossing, which surprise, surprise, is where Washington crossed the Delaware.
yeah.
And I didn't know who, I didn't recognize him. I was a kid. It's like kind of before the internet. And he looked different. He didn't look like he
Yeah.
did in the Breakfast Club, but he played like a Washington impersonator in this
Mm.
movie. And I didn't know what the plot was about or anything. So he was there dressed as George Washington, and we're in like craft services, and he sat down right next to me, like alone, and he was eating. He's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, how are you?" Just kept to myself, and all these people came up to him, were like, "Hey, I'm like a really big fan of your work," and I was like, "Wow, these people love history." I was
Yeah.
like, "I like George Washington too." And I
Tell
was
me,
like,
yeah.
and of course
What's your
me,
favorite George Washington memory?
yeah, like of course me was like, when he crossed the Delaware, it was all about history, and he was like the nicest guy, and he didn't care that like I didn't know because I was polite, but
Yeah.
it didn't hit me till later on. I was like, oh shit, that was the guy from the Breakfast
That's
Club.
the
I
guy.
could have had so many questions about like John Hughes and but yeah, he was just such a nice guy. But
Mm.
he was great in that movie, and
We used to
there's
have
just so many
we
funny
used,
scenes and obviously things that you can never do today. But that's what makes it
no.
great.
We used to have picnics at Washington's Crossing. I remember.
Did you really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow,
Um, did you
that's right.
see
I
me?
forget you've been there.
Did you see me?
Did you? Robert was dressed as Washington
I
Crossing.
would have been 15, and you would have been 4, and
For
I had just came out of the Breakfast Club.
might have been there. If it was Christmas, we might have been there. That's a big thing on
I would have
Christmas.
wearing my Lagoon shorts and my full 80s wear.
Your Superman 4 shirt, which wouldn't come out
Oh
yet,
my
but
god! Yeah, well, no, who
what?
would
But
have had
no,
that? So yeah, when I was going through those Universal pictures, I'm like, oof, you could see some teenage Robert,
I love it.
15-year-old Robert by the jaws shark.
The joy I saw,
There I am with
and we're
hair.
all gonna see those in a few minutes for
Oh, are
the
we?
final episode, the final segment of the show.
Oh, gotcha. So anyway, but
We have
anyway,
to.
so we encourage brats that it's kind of there's no kind of life revelations, but especially for
Yeah,
my generations, it's kind of a nice revisit to see what people are doing now. And and I watched a couple of interviews since, and they say, well, what's it like? It's kind of like, because some people, they've not seen each other in 30 plus years.
right.
And it is the same, like when I see a college friend that I've not seen, who's like, yeah, we don't need to talk, like, but everything is, you're just kind of right back at it, and you probably have better appreciation as adults than you did as kids, and especially
Yeah,
for the most part, they all survived unscathed. That
yeah,
everybody's kind of had their little share of scandals here and there, but Rob Lowe included. But
right.
but
But
yeah, so
still, to unscathed with
yeah,
that kind of celebrity and
and they
that
all have
mileage.
done really pretty well in their
Yeah,
careers one way or the other. So, which kind of is a testament that the reason they did so well is they all had talent.
yeah, right.
So
They were all
that's
good actors,
yeah.
and yeah, to see that kind of longevity and that output in later years is pretty fascinating. And I agree with you 100%. I think I definitely recommend it. I think it's a good worth watch. I would have liked them to go a little bit deeper at some
Mhm.
times, but it was yeah, for what it is, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was refreshing too. It
Check
wasn't
check it out.
with so many bad documentaries out, like American Gladiators and
What?
Holly Madison. It's like is this like history? It's nice to see something like yeah, Brat Pack is a big deal.
Yeah.
Uh, big part of pop culture and movie history. Like it's great when everyone's still alive to get. I mean, they're all still relatively young, but
Yeah.
to get it at this time was cool.
Get them all to the Hollywood show.
Get them all to the get them to the Hollywood show. You know how
Uh,
crazy that would be if they had like a
well,
Brat Pack
usually a
reunion.
lot of them have, like, 4 out of the 5 Breakfast Club members have done conventions. Everybody but Emilio, I think.
Yeah,
So it's possible.
be great. Robert Howard Deutsch, the guy that Andrew he directed a bunch of movies. Obviously,
Yeah.
Pretty in Pink was the one,
Mhm.
but Great Outdoors as well.
Mm.
And I was reading his thing, and he's an interesting timeline. Like he did all these pretty big movies, good, and then he kind of stopped and did TV. Um, I wanted to hear like more from him, kind of like what, not what happened, but like,
Yeah.
did you just like, were you done, or obviously you made a good living, because I
Bring
felt
them
like
on
he
the
could have done more.
bring them on the show.
Bring him on the show. Let's get Howard Deutsch on the show.
Share all the dirt.
Share all the dirt. But yeah, check out Brats, folks. We'll just bring us to a final segment. Share all the dirt. This is from setjetter.com. Usually we do Blind Man's Bluff, but we have a special treat tonight. It's the Universal Studios flashback.
Um,
This what is this
I didn't know
camera?
you were going to do this, so otherwise I wouldn't have talked earlier about that. So
I'm sorry. Do you want me to?
no, you just let's do it because it's fresh in my mind.
All
Who
right. Well,
knows
it's
when I'll
great.
forget.
I'm just going to remember
So
how to do this.
as you pull that up, I was talking earlier that I was
Yeah.
at Universal Studios, and so it kind of got me thinking about, oh, how many things are now gone that I enjoy during my previous visits to Universal Studios and so forth. So I feel like I had to actually experience them because even back in the day, they had used to have rolling boulders and stuff I've never seen. But so I said, let's do a little flashback.
I did a few YouTube videos of the
Yeah.
original rides.
Mm.
Because I was been on those as well when they were still open, and it was a sad nostalgic trip down memory lane. Like, yeah, just there's so many good rides, and they're always like, it's the last thing I'll say about this, but they're always, every Wikipedia entry ends with, they had to get rid of it to make way for Harry Potter or the Sword in the Stone. I'm like, Jaws is better than Harry Potter.
I know.
There's more Jaws fans than Harry Potter. Maybe not new young kids in the last 20 years, but overall, you're going to regret that. That's not going to age well.
Yeah, as we'll go through, some have been replaced for just monstrous, horrible things. But
Fast and Furious, like, just stop.
I can't.
But anyway,
sit through that. But all right, so.
I know it's the worst. But this is Universal Studios Flashback. These are all Robert's archives. I don't have to read this, Robert.
No, you don't have to read this. So, and there's some I don't have pictures of Back to the Future ride or anything like that. So, but yeah.
Yeah, but no, these are cool.
But yeah, so so there's a picture of the Glam Tram.
There's the Glam Tram.
The Bates Motel kind of stop off where you
right
can
here
take photo ops, which is nice.
It is nice
to kind of have there. So
when were these taken, Robert?
A week ago, or a week and a half ago. So last Sunday. So
last Sunday. See, fresh off the press.
Fresh, yeah. So there I am at the cab by the office in cabin 1.
Oh, so cool.
So
I missed this picture.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
King Kong's hand. The shark, not the shark they used to have, but close. They actually had this. They had the sharks kind of hanging straight down for many years, and then they had this one somewhere else where it's kind of had its head up, and so it probably was in storage, and they kind of brought it back. So
yeah, I remember that the original was like straight down, because this one is more of the one from Japan, right?
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I remember they had that one in the park as well, but
yeah, these are cool.
But yeah, so anyway, so this first thing is there used to be a stop off halfway through where you could get off and do different things, and some of it was from Land of the Giants, or you put your face. So there's Mom, or in that first one, and the Con with the Wind, and my sister, and then it is funny because Woody Woodpecker, they're selling these kind of popcorn tins that look like the tram, and Woody Woodpecker's driving. I'm like, why is that? But I was like, oh, he must have been part of the driving thing. So there I am.
Interesting. I always thought he'd be like Warner Brothers.
Yeah. So there's me and my sister, and with the
nice.
The Glamour. It was called the Glamour Tram back then. I guess I don't remember that, but
the Glamour Tram.
Yeah, and that's what they called it now. So, but yeah. So Kit,
that makes sense.
I think Kit would talk to you too, from Knight Rider.
Oh, they'd have to. Yeah, that's so cool.
There, you could go talk to it. So you still get to see sets. Like I went to the George Lopez set or something like that. But at this time they had here's iconic sets, like All in the Family. Wow. There's Archie Bunker's chair and living room, and then the Jeffersons set. And I was just like,
that's so cool.
Super lucky to see that.
Oh yeah, super iconic.
Yeah, so
some of the best shows of all time.
But yeah, so in '85 we were there, and so I remember the tram stopped, and they said, and next door they're filming. At the time they called it the Moon Song or something like that, but it was actually Steven Spielberg was shooting The Color Purple.
Oh, interesting.
Next door, so it actually probably the one.
You can see the Amblin right here.
Yeah, and so this was the scene where they're all the music scene where they're all having a party and stuff like that. So this was actually shot on stage. So Steven Spielberg was right next door. So and I remember they came over and talked to us and stuff like that. So it was a big deal. So
that's pretty cool.
But yeah,
Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica. You would go through and they would shoot lasers and stuff like that. And it was not they were just building on the sci-fi thing. So
yeah, of course,
kind of what you did. So
we know what this is.
A Psycho house. It's funny because I had shared these pictures. So in '85, they were preparing for Psycho 3. So for the first time, they built or rebuilt the entire motel. And Psycho 2,
'85 they did that.
Yeah, and so the original they built the whole facade, or it was already there, and then in '82 they just built the first couple cabins, and the rest was matte painting. So we couldn't get super close to it, and I included that last picture. So. To kind of show here's what kind of Falls Lake looked like at the time. Behind there now is where they put the whole War of the Worlds set, but it was just a big empty field at the time.
Where this open thing is back here is where like the plane was, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
That's
But yeah,
exciting though.
that's what it looked like at the time. So I was
You broke in there and
in
spent the night?
heaven. I was so excited to see the Psycho House.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the first iconic
Yeah.
like
It was
horror
a
house
true, yeah,
ever.
horror location. Like, bring us closer.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Um,
Not missed at
oh
all.
yeah, so not missed.
Oh,
Behind the Bates Motel for a while, they had the is it the Who Village? I don't know, from the Grinch,
Whoville.
Whoville, yeah. And
Yeah.
so you'd see the Bates Motel, and then the Whoville would be popping up behind. I was like, this ruins the illusion.
It was bad. You'd
Yeah,
see
it
like a
was.
big
Yeah,
candy
and
cane or
like
something and
nobody cares. So, but
the Grinch.
there we are with the Grinch.
Oh. The Whoville set was there too, from what I remember, like long after the movie wrapped.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think they either didn't know what to do with it or something. I don't
Had
know.
to be
But
because they're
yeah.
yeah,
So it's
so
gone.
funny.
It's gone.
Well, you got it, so it
Yeah.
lives on forever in our house.
That's all we need. So the burning house, I don't know if people remember this. So you drive by and this house would be on fire, and then you drive around it like it's a facade. Uh we can turn
Oh
the fire
yeah,
on and off as we please. And those burn are actually burn marks. They're spray painted, but
the A-Team was part of that.
well, it wasn't for a while. And then obviously the A
Okay,
team in 85 was pretty popular. So the A team would show up
to
in
fight the fire.
in all sorts of places and stuff like that. So
Yeah, they
they
just
were
throw it in
pushing
there.
whatever show.
A-Team was pretty big in
Yeah.
'85.
Yeah. So the deteriorating bridge is still there, but they stopped going across it for a number of years, and then I think around 2014, they opened it back up and then they closed it again. So if you've not been
Oh,
on it, so as you drive by, they're like, "Hey, we're not going to go on this bridge," and the things would fall into the water, and then the tram would turn in. It's like, "Oh, wait a second, we are not supposed to." Oh no, they would be. It's just
the
horrible
it's just
tour guide acting, but it would fall for a little, a foot or so.
is it
So it was kind of dramatic.
was it better than the Jaws ride where they're like, "Oh, I think that boat
Yeah.
needs help
Oh,
over here.
it is the
They're
same.
okay.
It is the same level of like, I don't know. What do we
We're
do?
gonna
And
wait in
yeah,
here."
and they still do that on the tour. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, they do this horrible thing. So, oh, Kong, is this yeah, I don't know if they called it Confrontation or King Kong Encounters, right?
King
So,
Kong Encounters
which I
ride.
liked. It was a decent.
It
Did you ever
was good.
experience? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a more or less life-size King Kong, and you go through, and it had banana breath when it breathed on you, and some fire effects
Yeah,
and
it was
stuff
nice
like that. Yeah.
touches.
So it was destroyed in the fire in
Ah,
2008.
fire
So
was bad.
now
New
this is
York
what I
backlot.
really miss is almost all of the New York backlot was destroyed uh during the 2008 fire. So and they've had multiple fires. I think the
And
fires
entire
are
backlogs of
yeah.
musical catalogs. Like it was just bad.
Yeah, there's just a lot that's gone. So, so I have some random pictures, from olden days, so it's not very good quality, but which
It's
like
great you have
right
these
there,
though.
yeah, that last picture, uh,
Which one?
go back one more. So that showed up in Beverly Hills Cop 3. So that's one of the last picture that particular street
Oh,
by chance.
nice.
Yeah. So I was looking, I was like, but anyway, so and that's why this is why I take pictures of everything because I don't know you don't know how they're going to last.
You don't know what's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
and
No,
it is
it's
kind of
good.
suspicious. Universal has fires in same intervals
Yeah, that's
throughout the
true. And where
years.
it is too, it's like
Yeah,
no wonder. It's
yeah,
right there
yeah.
between
So,
canyons, like it's crazy.
so here's Courthouse Square, which is kind of best known for the Back to the Future. So this was some of it's still dressed, I think, for Back to the Future when I visited. So and you can see the theater
Really?
in the back that was used in Gremlins. That was been long gone and so forth. And the courthouse looking like the actual courthouse did
Yeah.
for a number of years. So
Right, right. That's great you got
yeah.
these.
And then here's a kind of a
There
revamped
you go.
version of the courthouse. And now it's been, if you kind of go through, so this is, you can see post fire. I have pictures as they kind of caved everything out and they kind of built in front of it, different facades. And then you can see them kind of rebuilding New York over the years as they did different. So if you are able to visit, if they let you get off at courthouse, and if you go in the doors, you can see the original facade if you go inside with the columns and stuff like that are actually still there just behind there. So
Oh, that's so
yeah,
cool. Oh, wow.
yeah. So those
They
are
kept those there.
yeah. So it's still there. You just can't see it. So and that full service station, that's where the Cafe 80s was and the diner from the 50s.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
also
wow.
also long
You mean
gone.
you have to use your hands?
Like what?
What? Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, the parting of the Red Seas.
The part of the Red Sea was
Or
a
should
neat
say parting,
effect.
I guess so. Were you ever able to do that? I don't know.
I
You
don't
might have
think
got,
so.
yeah,
I would have remembered that.
yeah. So it was, Moses parting the sea, so
Yeah.
it was an amusing thing, and and they would do that, and the tram would go through, and then
Which
they
is
added.
interesting, the universal of that, because that was a Paramount movie.
Yeah, I don't know how they I don't decided
It
who.
was.
Yeah, yeah. So you can see a couple different years of versions, and then at
I love the venture
the they added the King Kong during Peter Jackson
encounters.
time and stuff like that. Yeah, so they had these little miniatures in there. So it's kind of Universal's always pushing uh whatever's
Right.
it's
Whatever's
like, oh, let's
released.
add King Kong to the parting of the Red Sea. I'm like, all right, yeah,
We got all these props. Just throw it out there.
yeah. But
That is
so
funny.
anyway, and then if right when you would go by there, they had this Blue Parrot Hotel built for uh the Harlem Globetrotters on Gilligan's Island,
Amazing.
and then some other shows. So that's kind of been long gone as well.
Yeah, they
But yeah,
demolished that guy.
yeah. So
Oh,
speaking of
here it is.
Dante's Peak, yeah, they had some of these miniatures that you would drive by, and they would have some either fake snow or kind of. The thing is, the house. I mean, this stuff was in the film. Obviously, the bridge didn't go into a mountain, so they were just trying to make it
The
things. So
bridge you're talking
yeah,
about right here?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And did I mix up the pictures? Did I add too many pictures? Let me see.
Whatever this is, it's amazing.
Yeah, so we'll go.
Dante's Peak,
What?
ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
go to the next. I think I doubled up the picture somewhere else. But
Okay.
anyway, oh, here's your Jaws.
Here it is.
Yeah.
You see those proportions? Those proportions were real.
So yeah, so those beach cabanas, they've been long gone. The
Up back here?
yeah, back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they used to make it more authentic, and that's Jaws has changed a little bit over the years.
Yeah.
Well, so
These are great shots though.
yeah, yeah.
Really are.
So yeah, so go back up once because I think I forgot. No,
Up
no,
here?
never mind. No, ignore it. So I'll go keep going.
Okay.
So I'll just make that. Oh, and there's the orca. If you go back one, so go back one picture. So that's the actual original orca,
Right here.
original Jaws that was sitting there rotting until they. Yeah, so there's
That was
authentic
used in the
Jaws.
film?
It was used in the film.
Was just sitting back there?
It was sitting back there for many years, and then eventually it
Really?
was rotting, and then they decided to dismantle it. And Steven Spielberg apparently threw a fit that they just literally they must dismantled, threw it in the dumpster, and he was like, "What are
Really?
you doing?" Yeah. So, but yeah. So
I
that
mean,
was
they did that?
yeah, yeah. So it
Wow.
was there for many years, and I think they would point it out. But yeah, it was just they just left it to
So what
it.
happened to it?
It was in the trash. I mean,
And it's gone now?
it's gone. Yeah. So it hasn't been there in
Wow.
years, and so Spielberg said he would go and hang out on the boat during the thinking time and stuff like that, on the lot, while I was there. And so he was really upset
Really?
they didn't consult
Yeah,
him.
maybe
They
leave it
just threw
there
it away.
then.
Well, I think the thing is it was actually sitting in water, and they just didn't.
They do rot out.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. And so, but it was
yeah.
like, why would you? Well,
It's
it's
when you
typical
take it off
Hollywood.
and put it belongs in a museum.
Yes, I should say it's typical Hollywood where they just don't. Everything is disposable, and they don't really care about the.
Yeah, there's a history of that with Jaws too.
Yeah.
Like some of the original sharks were, if they didn't
Oh,
sink, they like
yeah.
found them in like a garage,
Yeah.
like 20 years later, like rotting away. Like
Yeah.
they did not take care of that shit.
They just left stuff right, and so it's like part of me is like, and the thing is, it's Jaws was the blockbuster #1 for a few years. That you would think you would hold
Yeah.
on to. Yeah. So
Yeah,
anyway,
hold on to it.
yeah, yeah.
You can hang on to the Grinch. You can hang on to Jaws.
Anyway, but I got a picture of it, so there we go. So
Yeah, I'm glad you got that.
oh, and there's the
Yeah, here's
shark.
the original shark.
Yeah, 15 and 54.
It's great. 15 and 50.
uh,
I love that.
but yeah,
Shark facts.
you can see the Jaws 3D logo on the Shark Facts.
Right.
Speaking, I don't know if I put that in there, but yeah,
Where
I said
you
it. I
can see
sent
the
a note to
logo
you, and
3D here at the
yeah,
top.
I
Yeah.
sent a note to you and Brian that they talk about Jaws: The Revenge on the tour still.
I'm so glad that
yeah.
exists. I'm surprised they admit to it.
Yeah, I was like one of those things, and it was because that big blue screen was built for Jaws: The Revenge, not blue screen. It was painted in the sky. It was built specifically for Jaws: The Revenge, and so it was a big
Wow.
deal. So.
Yeah.
So here, this was Colonial Street now, and it kind of became Wisteria Lane, and then so this is my picture of the Leave It to Beaver house at the time, and then I need to find a picture because years later, on a different part of the lot, they had the same thing. They had the Leave It to Beaver house just falling apart in a field.
Like
Yeah, just
alone, a
yeah, just
standalone.
waiting for it to deteriorate. And I was just like, so
Really?
so so here you can see what Wisteria Lane used to, the trams going and go around, but it used to be kind of
Yeah.
houses, but there used to be kind of like a small town and a church and some buildings as well. So this is what it used to look like.
Wow. Yeah, you can see
They
right here.
shot Freddy's Dead right here.
Save the best for last.
Yes.
You were actually angry.
So
What is this from?
so these are some facades. I'm not quite sure. I think they were kind of either Western or Western adjacent. I don't think they exist anymore, so I wasn't quite sure. So I just kind of
Yeah.
included some houses and stuff like that. Oh, if you look now that I just noticed, you see that dark building in the background
Yeah.
on the right hand side. So that shows up in the birds. Now that building's
Where the
no
part
longer
where the
there.
gas station was?
Yeah. So when they have mostly matte painting, but she drives down. This isn't the right angle, but that building.
When she drives down to the diner?
Yep, shows up in the birds.
I
So
gotta look for that.
yeah. So
I love that movie. That's interesting.
yeah. But yeah, so here's some just
That's
little
really
pieces of
cool.
stuff. So DC Cab, you probably don't remember that movie. I remember driving by those cars, but yeah.
That's an original,
Yeah.
or that one was original?
Yeah. And I think they still have my past few tours haven't had driving by the cars, but I think it still exists. So
I saw it not too long ago,
okay. So
like in the
maybe
last 5
not all
years.
tours go by there anymore. But so I
Yeah.
included here just in case. Who knows how long that will last?
Good thing that you got him.
Mm. Mm.
Oh gosh.
Do you remember
Good
this
job.
Fast and Furious little experience?
Oh,
Did you ever see it?
once, yeah.
What?
I was
Yeah.
never a fan.
No. This is
I
like
know you weren't either.
no, and this was like a huge waste of money, and they stopped doing this after a couple of years. So, used to have cars that would do pretend stunts, and then they would dance around and like tell us something, and then they would wave
Yeah.
goodbye or something
You know
stupid.
what it was? It's not even I can enjoy an experience whether I will like the movie or not. For this though, I was like, all right, like the explosion's cool. Like I get what they're doing, but can we go back to Jaws? Like
Yeah, no,
I was never like a big fan
no.
of that.
So, House of Horrors, I used to like. So this was on the
Oh, the
upper
House of
lot,
Horrors.
almost kind of where you would walk in, and they would have kind of it was almost full time haunted house and stuff like that. But when you went
Yeah.
through the wait line, they had all these great movie props and wardrobes. So
To keep you like
yeah, as you're waiting, so like this is like from
because
the
it was waiting
strange.
for so
Yep,
long.
these are from the Strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chucky was there. Oh, that right there, Chief Brody's Amity Police uniform.
There it is.
Yeah, so they had
It's pretty
great
sweet.
props around.
Yeah, those are great.
Psycho piece, Hannibal. I mean, so they had
Lecter.
great props and
Hate
stuff.
Kavitz. I love the suit.
Bride of Chucky. Yeah.
Ludicrous.
Yeah. So yeah, they used
Those
to
are
have
great props,
good
though.
stuff
And
around.
yeah, they make it interesting. They do that with a lot of Disney rides too. They'll
Mm.
make little puzzles and clues
Yeah.
because they're like, get your mind off that you're waiting 3 hours for this
I know.
4-minute
So
ride.
for when I would be on VIP tours, I'd like, wait, I need to get pictures of all because they would walk right by us. But anyway, so
Oh yeah.
so I'm a big fan of The Incredible Shrinking Woman. So
Yeah,
back in
that is fun.
'85, that upper left picture is I was so excited to see this prop of
Oh, that's so
the
cool.
big grocery cart. And then I've got to see it several times.
It's so great.
And they had it out at the Bates Motel.
I'm
It's
glad
just
that
random. They don't identify it, but I knew what it was. So,
I'm glad that was just hanging out and you
yeah,
got a chance to see it.
it's weird. They have these pretend props out at the Bates Motel, but they don't
From other movies, right?
from other but they don't really say
Yeah.
what they are. But I recognize this. So
You
so
got
they
it.
used to. They just started going back into the prop house, but now you can't take pictures. So these are some older
Oh.
pictures of that's
What's the shoe from?
John Krasinski's helmet, or whatever Leatherheads, I think, whatever the football movie was, and so forth.
Oh, okay.
So they used to have used to be able to take a lot of pictures, and then they used to have other props, from obviously
The Book of
ET and stuff
Who.
like that. And
Oh, there it is.
yeah, they just don't really. I don't know. They don't do that as much anymore. So
What was that thing called? The Speak and
Speak and Spell.
Speak and Spell.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't click
No, it's
over.
fine. So now you can still you walk through here, but they don't let you take pictures anymore. There's your Apollo 13.
There it is.
Yep, American Pie.
I love that. Go
uh,
back to that. That's funny. Oh, so great.
so yeah, they had some
12
great stuff. The thing
Monkeys.
is, like,
They have good stuff there.
yeah, you would. I think because they have holds and stuff like that, so you can see what films are being held for and has personal information. So
Yeah, that's cool. They lay it out for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
What is this
So,
from?
so this is, I guess I didn't find, this is kind of the Rome area. So it was like used for any kind of ancient
Oh,
Rome and
okay.
so forth. And so this has all, for the most part, has all been gone or demolished and made room for more studios and stuff like that. So
Yeah. I get that though.
but yeah,
It's cool.
history
It's
of
cool.
the world part 1. So this is the best little whorehouse in Texas.
Oh
So this is
yeah.
what the back of it looks like, which the back of it doesn't look like that anymore. But
No.
that's why I included it here.
That's a fun flick too.
Yeah.
You got a good page on that as well.
Yeah. Oh, this is my sad. So I don't really have good pictures. So this is the glacier avalanche. So it was the rotating tunnel, and it would just make you dizzy. And so it showed up in the Bionic Woman. So I was really excited. And then they rebranded it a couple times, once for the Mummy and once for Dante's Peak. And then they demolished it for Fast and Furious Supercharged.
Of course.
But I write the worst thing ever conceived.
It's bad. It's bad. This I love.
Bad. So, oh yeah. So you used to be able to see. This is, excuse me, wait for the Lost World.
Yeah.
So for Site B, or when they kind of almost
Isla Sorna.
So the thing is, they built the War of the Worlds in front of us. So sometimes you could see it in the background. You just have to look carefully, and it was like literally rotting away.
Could you?
Yeah, you could. If you look at old videos, whatever, you can kind of see it behind. They just let it rot away.
Really?
And I tried to get one time. There's like, can you bring it? And they're like, no, it's not safe. And I was like, I wanted to see it so bad.
They
And
couldn't
now
bring it any closer to it?
Yep. And now it's completely gone. So
yeah, I remember when this existed, and
yeah.
people posted of it, and it was such a cool sight in the movie because it's abandoned in the movie, and it it just was so creepy. In Jurassic Park 3, they have something similar as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, we shit on Lost World, but it's got some great sets. It's a shame this is gone.
I'll still shit on Lost World, but yes.
Right. But it's still, they should have kept that. And here it is, yeah.
So, and I think this part might exist. Just tours don't always kind of go through the engine where they had all the. So, and I think not all the stuff.
It did what last time I went.
Like right there, I don't see this anymore. Or if you want to go back one, this was the High Hide. Nope, next one. In Lost World, they go up to, this was the High Hide. I haven't seen this in.
I haven't seen this either. They still have the engine and the cage, but I don't remember this.
Yeah, so I used to kind of see some of this stuff around. So this is like, you never know. Take pictures of everything, because it'll disappear.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Jurassic Park, man. We love that movie.
Oh, and the Jurassic Park the ride. So before it became Jurassic World. So so I have some pictures of that.
I love that you got these.
I have a YouTube video of our final Jurassic Park ride, because we knew it was going to be closing.
Oh, I gotta see that.
So I think I have a link to the YouTube.
Oh yeah, I gotta check that out.
So if people remember, like, some of the stuff is still the same. But then remember the truck that would, for years, it would like fall down, and then for many years it would just, the noises would still be there, but it actually would just stay up there.
Yeah, it would just give the illusion that it was going to fall,
like
but
that. So
yeah,
and they used to have the Barbasol. I don't know if
classic
they still have that
sloppy Nedry.
Yeah, so, but yeah, so this one makes me sad. So if you look to the lower right, this was the
I know.
Ride. And I love the ET.
What happened
ride.
to ET? Right,
it became the Mummy. So I think Steven Spielberg was also upset
about ET getting the.
Yep. So he's like, what are you doing? So I think he, especially since he has given Universal, or made Universal, quite a bit of money.
Yeah, a couple billion over
the years, So show him a little bit more respect.
Yeah, I think keep some of those.
Oh, T2.
The T2.
Which was
all the stars.
Probably the truest sequel to Terminator 2 that you could have, because they had the original cast. Eddie Furlong was back for this.
Eddie F was
Yeah.
doing his thing.
So and then right, it was goofy, but I thought it was funny. And then I put a second
Yeah.
picture for one year during Halloween
This
Horror
guy?
Nights. Yeah, they had Rocky Horror Picture Show tribute, and they did like a modified, like a 20-minute version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I thought it was fantastic
Oh,
because
nice.
when they have the song about the rain, the studio is made for that, and it actually did rain.
Oh, that's great. Oh,
Yeah, and
that's a
I thought
nice
it was
touch.
fantastic, and my sister's like,
Yeah.
"We're all wet," like,
We're
but that was one of my
we're
favorite,
all wet.
yeah, moments. But yeah, so
That's funny.
oh yeah, so
I don't remember
uh,
this.
so this was only during Halloween Horror Nights. They had Bill and Ted's
Okay.
Excellent Halloween Adventure, and it was
The people
actually,
are
I should say
sensitive
that
to it.
it was kind of raunchy. It was kind of questionable humor or whatever, but it was like the funniest thing.
Bill and
And
Ted's?
yeah, I mean, because they would just make fun of everything. And so we just thought it
Really?
was fantastic. I remember my dad thought it was fantastic, and then some people obviously got a little sensitive to it. Was and then they stopped
At
doing the show
the in
at the
reviews and
humor,
stuff?
yeah. And so
Really?
they
They
stopped doing
nixed
it.
it?
So yeah, so I was upset that they got rid of
Yeah,
that.
come on. Take
Yeah,
risks.
I
Have
know.
fun.
It's supposed to be Halloween anyway, so I
It's
included that there.
fine.
Oh, Shrek 4D, not necessarily a favorite of mine, but it's gone,
No.
so I included it here.
I don't remember. I think I
There we,
passed up on
yeah.
Shrek.
There's the 4. Yeah, we did like Donkey.
He doesn't like Donkey.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Backdraft.
Oh yeah, I thought you would like this. So
Yeah, I was like, this in Waterworld. I'm like, let's go.
yeah, so Backdraft was a decent, it's a good walk through kind of fire show, and
Yeah.
it was impressive, I think, because
Yeah, you could feel it. You got
yeah,
right up there. Like it was good.
yeah.
Still a
So
good flick.
also gone. Special effects stage. So they had a couple. They did
Oh, I
some
remember
different
that.
areas and stuff like the making of, and remember they'd pretend to put a volunteer in a
Yeah, it was
spacesuit and they'd be
interactive.
upside down or whatever. So
Yeah.
it just they had it up where kind of next to animal actors, and they moved it down to the lower lot, and then they took it out for that and backdraft out for Transformers 3D ride. Yay.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
So there's animal actors, which I accidentally.
Oh,
So
that was what it was supposed
yeah.
to be.
So I think that was Einstein from Back to the Future. So
Oh, really?
yeah, because that was in '85. I remember at the time they said yeah. So and then you used to be able to for VIPs you could hang out after and meet some of the actors. Yeah.
Was that bird in a film?
Probably, yeah. I can't remember him at the time. So, all I remember is because I think the dog was, I think it was in Back to the Future and Gremlins, if I remember right. So, um, that
Really?
first dog, yeah. So,
Oh.
but
And now that dog's at the Hollywood show.
and now it's signing autograph, yeah. So,
Now he's signing autographs.
yeah. So,
Animal actors.
animal actor. Wendy and I still do like anytime whenever Cats does a trick, we're like animal actors.
Animal actors.
And now we're like, and now you'll never be on Animal Actors since it's gone.
Because we had to make way for the roller
Yeah.
coaster.
So, yeah, and this is where the roller coaster will be. So, actually, behind that Universal City sign is go back to that because I think that might be the Animal Actor stage or one of the stages up there. So all this
Really?
is gone, and this is where the new roller coaster is going to be opened. I think next year. So.
Oh.
And so right now that hill that you saw on the left-hand side is all dirt right now. All these posters are gone. And this is kind of where the roller coaster will be going. So
Starting to build that up.
yep.
Yeah.
So, but
Conan.
yeah. And then sometimes you bump into celebrities,
Well, it's great.
which I did.
Yeah.
Conan,
That's cool.
Mr.
That's a
Conan
great
O'Brien, yeah.
It's a great page. And if you
Thank you.
want to check out more kids, you can go to setjetter.com.
Mhm.
Those are nice. I'm so glad that you recorded them and like preserved those. Like
Yeah,
you
so-
have them now for life.
You will have to watch my YouTube video of the Jurassic Park ride.
Oh, I'm
So
watching
it's
it.
always, yeah.
Oh yeah, send it to me if you have
Yeah.
it handy. I'll
Yeah.
watch it for sure.
Yeah, it's on a link on the website. So, but yeah.
Okay,
But
I'm gonna
but yeah,
check it
I'll
out.
send it to you so you can relive it.
I can relive it. I do love those videos. Like people
Yeah.
will film the whole ride, and you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I remember this.
Nobody's reliving the Fast and Furious supercharged,
Not touching it.
right? You know what the weird thing is though? So like the King Kong ride, I'm just like I could just care,
Yeah.
And then when I'm on the big tour, like the VIP tour, we're all kind of like, all right. And then when on the big tram tour, sometimes people really get into it. I'm like, all right, maybe I'm just being snooty.
No,
People
you're
are
not.
clapping and hollering. I'm like, really? Like
No.
I don't know.
That's a big, huge thing for them, Robert.
Okay, I know, but I'm just like people are like, yeah, with King Kong and 3D and like jumping around, and I'm just kind of like, if I could look at my phone, I would. So I'm just trying to be nice.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, woo. I'm like, all right, like
You have to fake stupidity at that point. You're like,
I don't know.
yeah, this is exciting.
It's kind of I don't
That's why I don't do
know.
theme parks really. Like I
Yeah,
will if I'm with people and that's where we're going, I'll enjoy it. But I'm not like, yo, let's go on a roller coaster. I'd rather see, go to Universal and see like the Jaws ride. Or
yeah,
I love when I say theme park, I mean like a Six Flags or like I love
yeah,
Disney World. I go on all those rides all day long. I mean, the thrill of like motion. I'm like, there's a pill for that. We don't need to do this.
yeah.
You want to fly? Go to Sunset and Clark Street. There's a guy named Jimmy who'll give you anything you want. No, I'm kidding. But you can I
Not
can
what?
appreciate that stuff. I just feel more like what you said, like the ET and things of
Yeah,
history. It's like fun.
you wouldn't go to Wonder World from Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Absolutely would. You never know. You might run into the director of Star Wars.
Oh my gosh! So yeah, I had to put George Lucas on my page
It's amazing.
just to like people don't forget he showed up in this movie out of every movie.
Out of any movie that he
Yeah,
could have just stopped by,
maybe
he
he's in
picked
maybe he's in
Beverly Hills.
maybe he's in Axel F.
Maybe. I hope so. Which comes out when? July 3rd?
I think July 3rd. Yeah. So, but yeah. So I did visit some locations used in the trailer while I was in LA
Yeah,
just
I
because. So,
I love that page, and you got some even the Detroit.
yeah.
You found the
Well,
stills in
somebody
there.
said something. I was like, "Oh, I'll find some of the Detroit locations." It's hard to do. I'm not familiar with Detroit, and it's dark
Yeah,
shots. But I was able to find a few.
yeah.
Um,
No, I think it's awesome.
somebody commented on my Beverly Hills Cop 3 page or on Facebook. I can't remember. So said something that's like, "Great picks, but everybody hates that movie."
Thanks.
I was like, "All right," which I'm like, I know
Well, yeah, you're not wrong.
you're not
They are
wrong,
great picks, and
but
yeah,
yeah.
maybe not the
So yeah,
right
bit by
form,
bit,
but
yeah. I just posted Axel F, Beverly Hills Cop 3. I just posted Beverly Hills Cop 2. So
yeah,
you can
it's a
start
Beverly Hills Cop
you can
franchise
start to
week.
check those out. Yeah.
Check them out, folks, at setjitter.com. That'll be your show tonight, Robert. Unless you had anything else,
No.
I'm going to sign us out here with a special
Something special.
outro. It's pretty much going to be the same as the intro. We're not that advanced yet, but
Ah,
tune in next week and we'll have more
we'll
exciting
see what.
stuff.
All right.
From all of us here, everybody, we will see you on set.